الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We're still studying and in the final stages of the great fiqhi rule, القاعدة الفقهية الكبرى الأمور بمقاصدها, that all actions are by their intentions. Now, there are cases where the intention can be mixed. For example, can I pray Sunnat al-Fajr with the intention of the Fard of Fajr? No, I cannot. Why? Because each is intended by itself. This one is intended by itself. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that the 2 rak'ah of Sunnat al-Fajr are better than what the sun rises over. And in a narration, are better than the dunya and what's ever in it. So it is intended for itself. And Fajr prayer is intended as something for itself. But when something is not intended for itself, then you can combine the intention. For example, if I intend to fast and make up for the day I missed in Ramadan on a Monday or on a Thursday, can I combine the intentions? The answer is yes, because intending to fast Monday or Thursday is not for itself. It is that comes on that time. So I can make up for my missed day in Ramadan on a Monday. I can make my missed days of Ramadan on 13, 14, and 15. I can make up for a missed Ramadan on the day of Arafah. I can make for a missed day of Ramadan on the day of Ashura. Because what is intended to fast that day, Ashura or Arafah, not for itself. Whoever fasts a day of Ashura will get the reward of expiating his sins for 1 year. So if I intend to make up Ramadan on that day, I will have succeeded in making up the day for Ramadan and also obtaining the reward of Ashura, of expiation of 1 year, the sins of 1 year. Another example, someone goes to the masjid. The Prophet said, alayhi salam, do not sit until you pray 2 rak'ahs. Are these 2 rak'ahs intended for themselves? No, any 2 rak'ah would do. So if I make wudu and I go to the masjid and I intend to pray 2 rak'ahs of wudu and 2 rak'ahs of tahiyyat al-masjid and 2 rak'ahs of sunnat al-dhuhr in the same 2 rak'ah, this is valid and accepted. And there is no problem in doing that because each was not intended for by itself. Are there any exceptions for the قاعدة فقهية الأمور بمقاصدها, that actions are by their intentions? Are there any exceptions? Why would we ask about the exceptions? Remember that we've said that these fiqhi rules, القواعد الفقهية, they're not 100% foolproof. There are exceptions for every rule. And this is in English, huh? We say there is an exception for every rule. And this is a rule, which means that there have to be some exceptions that are exempted from it. So when we say a holistic rule that is formulated in such a way so that the sub-issues fall under it, if not 100%, then the majority. This applies to our rule here. So what are the exceptions? They say that there are exceptions, and the most prominent exception is the fiqhi rule that states, من استعجل شيئا قبل أوانه عوقب بحرمانه, which translates to whoever is haste to attain something before its time, he is punished by being deprived of it. Whoever is haste in obtaining something before its time, he is punished by being deprived of it. Sounds logical, but can we implement this? Yes. For example, sometimes there is something you would like to get, but you want to get it before the time is due. So you do something, and us knowing that your intention is so and so, the Sharia deprives you from it. Example, someone having one of his relatives being very rich. So for example, his son is very rich and the father is very poor. And he tells his son, give me money, and the son doesn't give him money. So he knows that if the son dies, the father will inherit. So he kills his son because he wants the money. In the Sharia, he is deprived from inheriting. In the Sharia, one of the obstacles, one of the things that prevent a person from inheriting from another is murder. There are three things that prevent inheritance. One, difference of religion. So if the father is a Muslim, the son is not Muslim, one of them dies, there is no inheritance. And that is why a lot of the brothers, the reverts, when they come to Islam, their parents are very rich. And they say, can we inherit from them if they die? They say, no, you cannot inherit. But they can give you a gift, no problem. So try to be nice to them and have this gift before they die. And better more, try to have them embrace Islam. So number one, difference of religion. Number two, slavery. So if the father is a slave and the son is a free man, if the son dies, his father does not inherit. Because whatever he will inherit will belong to the master. The third obstacle that prevents someone from inheriting is murder. So if someone kills another, they're related, they cannot inherit. If a wife puts rat poison in her husband's food and he dies, she cannot inherit anything from him. Now one would say, okay, definitely she's not going to inherit. We're going to kill her, execute her. No, because not all the time execution is given to the murderer. It depends on the people that are his heirs. If they forgive or they demand blood, this is their right. If someone kills another, the family of the deceased, of the victim, they have the right to demand execution. Life for a life. This is given to them, right from Allah Azza wa Jal. Or they can ask for blood money. No, we don't want him to be executed, but we want the blood money. Or they can forgive. And this is the best of the best, as recommended in the Quran. So, if someone wants to attain this fruit, this inheritance, before its time, before the normal death of this individual, and he kills that individual, what will happen? We will deprive him from the inheritance. Why? Because the deeds are by their intentions, except in this case. We will tell him, no, you cannot. Secondly, if someone was on his dying bed and he married a second wife before he died, and she wasn't very kind to him, very nagging and very demanding, and did not respect him. On his dying bed, he looks at his second wife, this new wife, and says, you're divorced, divorced, divorced. And he dies. So what do we do now? Scholars say, no, this is not acceptable divorce. Why? Because his intention was to deprive the wife from inheriting. And because of this intention, we deprive him of what he wanted. He wanted something before its time. And that is why we tell him that this is not applicable and it goes against his intention. And you can cascade this a lot on many different cases. And I will conclude with this case. Now we know that having intimacy with the wife during the month of Ramadan while fasting, what is the ruling on that? It's haram. If someone does it, what will happen? What is the expiation? He has to free a slave. Of course, we don't have slaves. So we move on to the second punishment, which is fasting 2 months. Ya Sheikh, I missed only 1 day. Yes, because you have done a very serious offense. So if we would like to apply this rule, whoever attains something before its time, we punish him by depriving him from it. Someone says, okay, now I cannot have intimacy with the wife during the daytime of Ramadan. But I know what I will do. I will travel. So let's go. Pack your bags. We are going to another city. And because we're traveling, we can do this. So now this is your intention. To break your fast for this reason, not for the traveling itself, then still the punishment applies to you. Or someone sitting in the home, he says, I cannot have intimacy. Bring me the apple. Eats the apple. Now I'm not fasting. Now we can have hanky-panky. He said, no, you will fast 2 months, akhi. So always be careful not to play tricks on Allah Azza wa Jal. Because Allah knows everything and Allah Azza wa Jal would punish you for the way you are dealing with Him. We have a short break, so stay tuned and inshallah we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So we open the floor for questions, if you have any. Yes, sir.
Sheikh, till now whatever we have studied, we have found that certain level of human logic has been applied. So till what extent in Islam are we allowed to apply our human logic? And for example, in a scenario where someone asks me something, I don't know about it, I don't know the correct answer of it, but I say maybe this can be the solution, or maybe you should do this, you should do that. So is it allowed in Islam?
Okay. First of all, to what extent are we allowed to use logic? Logic is divided into 2 types. Islamic logic that goes with the Quran and the Sunnah and whatever Allah tells us to do, you mold yourself to accept this logic. And there is un-Islamic logic, which goes against the Quran and Sunnah. So for example, when someone says that women must wear hijab, Islamic logic that I believe in says, yes. Why? Because Allah says this in the Quran and Sunnah. So I'm completely 100% okay with that. This is Islamic logic. When Allah tells me, when I pray, I have to make wudu. But why is it these, not the shoulder, for example? Why the arm only, not the shoulder? Why the face, not the back of the neck? Why the foot, not the knees? Logically, I say that this is what Allah ordered, I accept it. If you don't have water, what do? Make tayammum. Logically, this is acceptable to me. The un-Islamic logic is when I tell this to a non-Muslim, and I always give this example. If someone who's not Muslim wants to know about Islam, I say Islam is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, Salat, Zakat. He says, what is Salah? I say 5 times a day you pray. MashaAllah, that's very interesting. How do you pray? I say we make wudu. 3 times I wash my hands, my arms, my face, my feet. I wipe on my head. MashaAllah. 3 times by 5. This is 15 times. You wash your foot 15 times. I wash my face once every morning. Your religion is very nice and pure, and it's a religion of cleanliness. I love your religion. If you don't have water, what do? I said, nothing. You just hit the floor and the ground and the soil with your hand and wipe your face. I said, what? What kind of logic is this? I said, watch out. A Muslim's logic is from the Quran and Sunnah. If you like it or not, this is up to you. Literally, you can go to hell. To me as a Muslim, I understand and I believe. And that is why I follow the Quran, not your logic. So logic is applied in Islam. It is definitely applied in Usul al-Fiqh. It's a science of logic. And definitely in al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya, because it's all logical. It falls into places. However, when this logic contradicts with the Shara', with the Quran and the Sunnah, definitely I have to cross over my logic and not accept it. And this is where Shaitan, Iblis, Satan, this is where he failed. He used his logic in the wrong place. Allah says to him, prostrate to Adam. He said, no, my logic says that I am better. I'm created from fire and he's created from clay. Logically speaking, I will not do this because I'm better. So he used his logic with the Quran, and that's why he's in hell forever. So this is part one. Part two, when someone asks you about something, if it's in the religion, say, I do not know. Never ever improvise. So one says to you, what's the ruling on buying gold with gold from a jewel shop? Meaning, I have a ring of gold. I go and he says that this costs $200. And I say, how much is that? He says, this is $300. So I give him the gold with $100 more and I take the new ring. Logically, it's okay. No, don't use your logic. This is haram. The transaction is riba. Ya Sheikh, I never knew. You never knew because you didn't ask. So when you are asked about something in Islam, if you have knowledge, yes. If you master at least the al-qawa'id al-fiqhiyya and you know the things that fall under it and you know the exceptions, in a sense, yes, you have knowledge. You can do your level best. But if you're ignorant, you cannot say in Islam, halal or haram. Say, I do not know. That is why Malik ibn Anas, may Allah have mercy on his soul, said that I do not know is half of the knowledge. Half of the knowledge is proclaiming that you do not know. So I hope this answers your question. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Sheikh, as you said that if a husband has a relationship with his wife, so the thing is that he has to expiate by fasting for 2 months. So is it applicable only for the fard fast or for the voluntary fast? Or is it applicable also for the expiated fast? Like if someone breaks his oath or something.
Okay, very good question. The expiation of freeing a slave, fasting 2 months, or feeding 60 people is only for breaking the fast on the day of Ramadan for someone who is fasting. And this is for both man and wife. Meaning that if someone is traveling, for sure, he is traveling, he's not tricking anyone. And he has intimacy, there is no expiation because he's exempted from fasting. If someone is sick and he has intimacy, no problem. If someone missed a day of Ramadan and now he's making it in the month of Dhul Hijjah and he has intimacy, he's sinful for breaking while making up a day of Ramadan. But he's not being told to make the expiation. So the expiation is only to honor the month of Ramadan, those who are fasting in it. So I hope this answers your question. Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
Sheikh,
salam.
we were talking about exceptions to rules. But, as a common Muslim, it becomes difficult to decide what is the exception. For example, if I'm going out for my Maghrib Salah and I see a man meeting up with an accident and he's about to die, I go and approach, I want to help him. But here there is a thought that, I feel that the Salah can be an exception for now. But the moment I try to approach him, I get to know that, the first thing that I'll be questioned on the day of judgment is my Salah. So, now it becomes difficult for me to decide whether that saving his life against Salah is an exception or Salah itself is an exception for saving his life. So in that case, deciding over the exception to a particular rule is becoming difficult. So what is to be done?
It is said that one of the greatest soldiers of Shaitan is half a faqih, is half a scholar. This is where you get all the whispers from Shaitan. When you are enthusiastic and you have love for the religion and for the knowledge, but you don't complete seeking knowledge. And the Shaitan stops you in the middle and says, should I save the man? The man is dying, help me, help me. Said, wait, can I help him or go to the Salah? After you reach a conclusion, the Salah is over and the man is dead. So you lost both cases. Always try to analyze. And this is why we study these sciences. it helps us reach. So we know by studying fiqh that there are priorities. And because there are priorities, Allah, for example, gave us the rule which we will study, inshallah, later, that al-mashaqqa tajlibu al-taysir. Hardship brings ease. And there are different types of implementations to this. One of them is if I'm going to starve to death. I'm in the desert. Now, there is a dead donkey. Now, if I eat from that, meaning that my prayer will not be accepted because I have touched najasa and I don't have water to clean myself. So I'd rather die. But if you die, you are committing suicide. And this takes me to hell. So what is more important? Praying with najasa or eating and going to hell? Wallahi, I'm going to hell both ways. So I kill myself and khalas. No, this is not the way of doing it. You have to set your priorities. Islam, and we will come to discuss this inshallah later on, Islam is to bring and attain all that is beneficial and to prevent and reduce all that is harmful. So in your case, we have the saving of a soul versus the prayer, whether to be postponed or delayed or even until the time goes out. What to do? Definitely the soul is a priority, because in Islam, Maghrib, I can postpone it and delay it and combine it with Isha. So Islam tells me that it is okay. In the times of fear, I can also pray to the direction other than the Qibla. I can pray without prostration. I can pray sitting down. So when you measure the priorities and weigh them, you will find that one of them is better than the other. You take that. Any more questions? Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Sheikh, my question to you is that if someone does wudu with the intention that he will recite the Quran, and afterwards he realizes that it's the time of Salah, and he goes and offers his prayer, so can he do that like he intended to recite the Quran and not to pray Salah?
Okay. When you perform wudu, this is called uplifting the minor impurity. Raf'ul hadath al-asghar. And when you do this, anything that needs wudu, you can do it. Whether it is tawaf, whether it is touching the Quran, whether it is salah, whether it is going to bed, all of this can be done with one wudu, and this is sufficient even if your intention was only to recite the Quran. So you don't have to do a wudu for prayer and a wudu for tawaf and a wudu for touching the Quran. No, one is sufficient and enough for all of those. This is all the time we have until we meet next time. Fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.